Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I am Amy J. Watley, and welcome to the channel where we discuss resources for individuals with physical and intellectual disabilities. So, guys, today we're discussing a significant development in education. For my longtime subscribers, you know that I love discussing laws that mandate how certain institutions, like our schools, must do certain things for our loved ones with disability. In one of my videos, I discuss IDEA, that's the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Again, I will be sure and link it in the comments. But guys, we have a new administration. President Donald Trump is in office, and he is moving and shaking some things. So one of the things that he signed into one of his initiatives, it is called the Expanding Educational Freedom and Opportunities for Families Initiative. And we're going to discuss how this initiative can benefit parents of children that have children with disabilities. And we'll also discuss how it could potentially hurt families. So stay tuned and let's get into it. As I'm going to be reading directly from the fact sheet because I want to get the language right, and I want to emphasize what this initiative or this executive order is supposed to do, right? So, fact sheet: President Donald J. Trump expands educational opportunities for American families, January 30th, 2025. Defending parental rights and educational opportunity. Today, President Donald J. Trump signed an executive order expanding educational freedom and opportunities for families. It recognizes that parents, not the government, play a fundamental role in choosing and directing the upbringing and education of their children. It directs the Department of Education to issue guidance on how the states can use federal funding formulas to support their K through 12 scholarship programs. It directs the Secretary of Education to prioritize school choice programs in the department's discretionary grant programs. The order requires the Department of Health and Human Services to issue guidance on how states receiving block grants for children and families can use those funds to support educational alternatives, including private and faith based options. It directs the Secretary of Defense to submit a plan to the president for how military families can use Department of Defense funds to send their children to the school of their choice. The order also directs the Secretary of the Interior to submit a plan to the president for how families with students attending Bureau of Indian Education schools can use federal funds to send their children to the school of their choice. So, guys, there are a lot of agencies involved in this initiative or executive order. It's the Department of Education, it's the Secretary of Education, the Department of Health and Human Services, the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of Interior. All right, guys, so it seems like a pretty good plan, right? The goal is to provide flexibility and options for parents. But, guys, there are critics that have very valid viewpoints to this plan. Let's hear from one of them, which happens to be Bernie Sanders. He gave these thoughts on when the nomination for Education Secretary was occurring, the nomination of Linda McMahon. Let's hear what he has to say.
We're looking at, if the Republicans get their way, massive cuts to education. And I should also say that the people who are trying to privatize Social Security, privatize Medicare, privatize Medicaid, privatize the Veterans Administration are precisely the same people who are trying to privatize public education in America. We must not allow that to happen. In America, we must not allow our educational system to become a two-tier system, a system which says that if you have the money, you're going to get help from the federal government, you're going to get a voucher to send your kid to a school that may cost $50,000, $60,000 a year, while the public schools will end up being segregated not just by race, but by class. Most families in America do not have $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year to send their kids to private schools, and it's absurd to provide public money to make that possible. Our job is not to take away money from public schools to give it to private schools. It is to strengthen public education in America.
Okay, guys, so you heard some of Senator Sanders' concerns. This entire confirmation hearing, guys, was over 2 hours long, so I will be posting that. But the last thing that he said in this particular clip was the job of politicians was to strengthen public education in America. Okay, pay attention to the words. The job of politicians, according to Bernie Sanders, was to strengthen public education in America. That now let's hear from Senator Katie Britt from Alabama, who has a different viewpoint. Let's listen.
Thank you. My colleague nailed it. Chair Cassidy, Ranking Member Sanders, and members of this committee, I am honored to join you today to introduce President Trump's nominee for Secretary of Education, my friend, Linda McMahon. It is clear that our current education system isn't working. We have the status quo, and that's actually failing our kids. As you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, the latest NAEP scores show that students' reading and math scores are down in almost every single state, to the point where only 30% of 8th graders are meeting reading proficiency levels. The status quo in education just hasn't failed students. It's failed parents, just like me. And very respectfully, Mr. Ranking Member, the America that you just described, the one that you're fearful will be created, it already exists. Our students deserve better. Our parents deserve better. We have to do something different in order to achieve a different result. For far too long, the Department of Education has catered to far-left bureaucrats at the expense of moms and dads. It has pushed for school closures, removed parental rights from the equation, promoted radical ideologies in the classroom, and supported allowing men and boys to play in women and girls' sports. Enough is enough.
So both senators have very valid viewpoints. I have a great niece and nephew who were able to go to a private school because the school that they were zoned for did not meet their needs. Alabama has had this option in place for years, meaning that if schools are failing, which is a big one in Alabama, if a school can't meet a child's needs, or if a certain school is offering a special curriculum like art, welding, plumbing, then parents can send their child to that school so that they can get the best education that's best for them, right? So, on one hand, I do see Senator Britt's viewpoint, but my niece and my nephew are not disabled. They do not have special needs. They needed access to a private school for the smaller classroom to get the individualized curriculum that was offered. But, guys, on the other hand, I totally agree and understand Senator Sanders' viewpoint because, unlike public schools, private schools do not have to follow IDEA or provide the same level of accommodations like public schools, like occupational therapy, speech therapy, or individualized instruction. They do not have to offer those things at all. So, if a parent moves their child to a private school under this initiative, parents may lose their rights to special education services. So, guys, please keep these things in mind. If you are considering a private school for your special needs child, that you may lose access to the very things that your child needs. The last document that I think is critical for you to read is from the U.S. Department of Education, and it's literally called Questions and Answers on Serving Children with Disabilities Placed by Their Parents in Private Schools. And it was revised February 2022. When you read this document, you will see that um, a fair and appropriate education, an idea, these are not things that are of concern when your child is placed in a private institution. So again, please read this document. Is going to be linked in the comments. And of course, guys, I'll be doing a series of shorts to get this information out even further. So please be on the lookout for those. The goal of this initiative is to empower parents with choices, but we as parents who have children with special needs, we have to stay informed. We have to stay active and proactive so that we can properly educate for our children. Again, this when you put your child in private schools, they are not obligated to follow IDEA. So be sure and read the information that I have posted in the comment section. All right, guys, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Please like, please share this information with other parents because it's so important. And if you have any questions, please be sure and leave them in the comments. I leave you with be sure to protect your peace and your mental health at all costs and by any means necessary. Thanks, guys.